Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sensible United podcast. You are joined by me, your host, Benjamin. My first time on since the preview against Liverpool, where, it seemed to work out, I think. I'm joined by the two people who were on last time holding down the fort in Jarryd and Thabo. First up, we'll go to you, Jarryd. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We have had a win. The sun is shining. It's been a warm day. I haven't seen a cloud. I am loving life.
To say it must be nice out there in Australia. Here in England, it is very much a different situation right here. How about you, Thabo? How are you doing?
I hate to sound like I'm copying Jared, but I'm also enjoying a fantastic, beautiful day here in South Africa. We are just heading to the middle of summer and we are enjoying beautiful weather. It rains every once in a while, but most of the time we are having clear blue skies and gorgeous days. Sorry, Ben.
Hey, it's all good. The sun is shining and Man United are winning matches. You can't go too wrong with that one. So let's just dive straight in and have a quick conversation about what we did see on Sunday. It was clearly the old cliche. It was a game of two halves, really. The first half was a bit hit and miss. I think that, in my honest opinion, we heard all these talks of intensity and things there, and we think we just rushed things a little bit too much. Everything was just that bit too quick in that first half. In the second half, I think we composed ourselves really nicely, and we sort of played the game out. I think it was far better. What would you say to that one, Thabo?
Yeah, it's like you say, it was a classic game of two halves. I think Palace were fancied. There were all the pundits and the betting houses had them beating us. And I said in the preview that I don't know how we're going to beat them, but we will. Oliver Glasner has said that he's not happy with the squad. He doesn't like the personnel he was given to try and challenge both in Europe and domestically. And you can tell that he plays the same players, he makes very few changes, and they don't have a good record having played in Europe and then coming back and playing in the PL. So they had played a game on Thursday. All we had to do was show up. I said when we spoke in the preview, I said I don't know how we're going to beat them, and I can't say there was a plan. There was a really like a game plan that you could see. We just needed to show up. We just needed to stay with them and make sure that they're not leading 3-0 come halftime. And we knew they were tired towards after halftime, and they did. We stayed with them in the first half, and then in the second half, we just played with a little bit more intensity, played with a little bit more desire, and we managed to win. Bruno Fernandes did Bruno Fernandes things. He refused to lose, and yeah, we had a good game. We had a good second half.
I was going to say, that was the clip that we used for the preview for the last one, is you saying, I don't know how, but we are going to win this match. And fair play to you. It worked out quite nicely. And as you said, first half, we basically stayed in the match. It wasn't like constant onslaught from Palace, but they did have their moments. And then second half, we composed ourselves. As you said, they played on the Thursday night, so they're going to have that little bit more, just like tension in their legs. They didn't rotate too much. They only changed 3 players from the team that started against Strasbourg. And you can kind of tell that they did tire that little bit, but at the same time, we did kick up that little bit of intensity in the right moments. And it worked out. What about you, Jarryd? What were your thoughts on the second half and the first half differential?
Yeah, spot on. I think the game of two halves analogy was about as appropriate as you're going to get. I felt that we started the first really well. There was 2 shots from Casemiro, could have been goals any other day, and then you're 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes, and it's a very different game. We did let them get back into the game, but, realistically, Palace are a good side. I think to try and act like as if it's a team that we're going to go and dominate away from home is a little bit arrogant to try and believe that, and very far-fetched. We aren't that same team to be able to do that. So I thought that first half, the fact that we conceded those chances and probably should have been conceded a few goals from that isn't necessarily a bad thing per se, but I think it was just the way the game rolls on. And yeah, the second half looked amazing. We were quicker to the ball. I think Alan Shearer did an amazing analysis, and it's not something I say very often about him, but he did an amazing analysis on Match of the Day, where he just showed the intensity and the way the team was closing down. The angles were getting shut down quicker. The people getting to the ball faster. We just put them under so much pressure. Like in the first half, that just wasn't there. Like Adam Wharton had so much time and space, and he was the best player on the pitch in those first 45 minutes. But yeah, he was class and created everything, and I don't think he lost the ball for that entire half. I think, or maybe once, which is insane, considering how much of it he had and how much he was getting.
As I say, like you were saying there about the intensity difference. For me, I don't know how different it was between the two halves. I just think that it was far more intelligent in the second half. Feels like we're the way that I describe us a lot of the time, especially our midfield, is we've got a team of bulldogs. I want a team of sheepdogs. You want a midfield that's going to sit back, that's going to calculate what's going to go on, and they're just going to dictate when they need to. We're a side that it feels like we're a deer in headlights at times. That we see a ball, we hear this word intensity, and we just feel like we have to run, we have to sprint, we have to show that level, just to want to get the ball back. And you mentioned there as well about Palace that we shouldn't be going to games like that, just expecting to roll them over, especially at Selhurst Park. That was their first defeat there since mid-February, and it was their first defeat after scoring first since I think it was April 2024 to Man City. It was also our first win away from home after conceding first since Man City as well in December of 2024. It was a day where we just showed that little bit extra, something that is different from last season. Last season, I think we would have rolled over. At best, would have scraped the draw. But this is showing the difference in levels this season compared to last one. We've seen it previously as well when we have come back against Forest and Tottenham. Despite leading in those matches, we did show that fight to come back into it. Is that a clear difference for you, Thabo, from last season too?
It is. You're talking about stats there, and it was also the first time we've beaten Palace in Selhurst Park since 2020, I think. I saw the stat and I thought, no way is this right? No.
It was, yeah.
When was it? I'm not gonna remember the name now. Nemanja Matic, he scored. When was it before 2020? Are we that old, people? Has that much time gone past?
No, it wasn't that game. This was, I think Matic did play though. I think it was probably Rashford, Martial. I think it was. It was 2020. They had Rodgers. We had Ollie. I think it was Rashford and Martial. I might be mistaken.
No, you're right. It was.
Yeah, it was 2-0.
Yeah. So yeah, man, and also I think that the thing that stood out about this game also was that individuals stepped up. Bruno, second half, he like I said, he refused to lose. He decided I'm not losing this game, and he just did Bruno Fernandes things. Luke Shaw also played the best game I've seen him play in a very long time. He was all over the pitch. He wanted the ball. There's a block that he did after De Ligt slipped in the somewhere near the center circle. He ran all the way back and put in a block. He was immense. He was immense for this. So, in addition to just the team showing up as a whole, you had individuals just stepping up. You had Joshua Zexi after the shambolic display he put in against Everton. I did not have him in my starting 11. He had a great game too. Casemiro played 90 minutes. He had a great game too. So in addition to the team showing up as a team, you had individuals just stepping up their brilliance, and this is I think that made the difference in the ultimate end, and that's the reason why we ended up winning the game. You know.
I was going to say, yeah. So we had a fair few players that did step up, and one of those, as you mentioned, was Bruno Fernandes. We've seen him now hit fourth in our all-time assist record, which has had people coming out labelling him as world-class or legendary in terms of our club's history. What is your thoughts on that then, Jarryd?
I feel like the term legend gets thrown around a little bit too easily these days. My big thing with Bruno, and this is nothing against Bruno, I absolutely adore the man. But if you talk about a club like Man United, the legends that we have not only have the numbers to in terms of goals, assists, clean sheets, or what have you, they also got the trophies, and I think that is so much more important for a club like United in comparison to others. You know, you could look at players like Shearer, who at Newcastle, and those goals that he scored, and so he rightfully gets the legend status that he deserves. But goals alone doesn't really equate to a legendary status for me, not for a club like us. We've got, I mean, I think Bruno's world class, absolutely. He's one of the greats at Man United, and and I hope that he can achieve a legendary status. But I feel like that won't happen until we actually win some serious silverware with him.
As I say, he's like a victim of joining such a successful club. So we've mentioned as well before that our banter period this last like 10 or so years would be other clubs' most successful periods. He is in that unfortunate realm of being our best player throughout this period, but not seeing the silverware to go with it. If he was in, let's say, a Sir Alex Ferguson team of 15 or so years ago, I was putting up these numbers and then winning the subsequent titles along with it, he would definitely be up in that conversation for legendary status. And he just seems to, wherever you put him, he plays well. We've seen him on the right hand side under Ollie. We've seen him on number 10 under Ollie and under Eric. And we've seen him now playing a bit of a deeper position under Ruben Amorim. And in every single position he's played in, he is just creating the most chances of anyone. Once again, this season, 13 games in, he is top of the assist records and he is top of the chance creation despite playing a deeper role. Just continuing to do Bruno Fernandes things. What are your thoughts on the guy, Thabo?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to differ a little bit with Jared on this one. I think maybe legend. I can agree that the word legend is thrown about too much. We call too many people legends, even though it doesn't fit. Bruno Fernandes in any other United team, he would fit. He wouldn't be out of place in any other United team. If he, like you said, put him in a team, in a Sir Alex team 15 years ago, he would fit. He would still keep up his numbers. He would be better than what he is now. The problem with Bruno Fernandes, and not just him, unfortunately, this applies also to Marcus Rashford, to Kobe Mainu. You're coming up in a poor United, where if these people had come up in a United that was winning and that had the Roy Keanes and the Paul Scholes, they become better players. The fact that we don't have the trophies with Bruno Fernandes isn't his fault. He has done what he can. He has brought up his end. The fact that the team around him cannot step up to his level cannot be held against him. So definitely call him a United, not a United legend. I would definitely call him a United great. He is one of those that he is without doubt, without argument, the best player United has bought in the past 10 years, without a doubt, without argument. So if somebody can have that status, you are just you are just a step down from legend. You are United great, and I have no hesitation calling him that.
Yeah, and Taba, that's exactly it, right? I think he is a United great. I don't think he is quite a legend yet. I hope that he can become one because if we win trophies with Bruno, he will achieve that. So I think it's a win-win from in my book. But I also feel like if we were to look at Manchester United in the year 2075, you know, we're now assessing the club across a period of history, and we would talk about the great United, the United legends of over this sort of 150, 200 years. The players that will get mentioned would be Best, Lord Charlton, Rooney, Giggs, Scholes, Cantona. They would be the legends because we would talk about them as the players because of the players that they were, but also the trophies that they won.
True.
We won't be talking about this barren period of without league titles and without proper European football as much. So I think that, and for me, that's the big difference between the two. And look, I think Ben mentioned it earlier, but I think that at the end of the day, if you look at the diaspora of what it takes to become a legend, at other clubs it's different versus what it is at United, but it depends on how you define it, right? Like if you define legend as someone who's got the numbers and the goals and assists, that's fine. That's your prerogative, and I'm not really going to. I don't think that that's necessarily wrong, but it's just not where my mind is at. I mean, I feel like we could probably start talking about the upcoming games. So obviously we've got West Ham at Old Trafford, and then we've got Wolves on the weekend at Molineux. Two games that we lost last season. West Ham was that horrific final performance under Ten Hag. A game that, Jesus, it's a game that we should have won. That was the Diogo Dalot open goal that he missed. That was the horrible refereeing performance by David Coote, and that 92nd minute penalty for that Delict forward Delict apparently fouled Danny Ings. Actually, yeah, it was Danny Ings, and then Bowen scored it. It was VAR that actually pulled it up as well. Like David could let the foul go, and then Michael Oliver at VAR was the one that decided to
Call it back.
came back. But yeah, incredibly frustrating game that was. But at the same time, we managed to. Uh, yeah, it was an incredibly frustrating game.
It was, and if I could take the games together for a moment, West Ham and Wolves are two of my least favorite games for United to play. Those two clubs. I'm not saying other teams make it easy, but they always seem to step up against United. We always seem to play grim, heartbeat, like really tough games against them, and they never ever, they will roll down and play dead when City come to town, when Liverpool come to town. When it comes to United, they are playing their cup final, so they are not my favorite games to play. Also, I think what they have in common with the toughness and the tough to beat and the tough to play against is the fact that for a long time, Nuno Espirito Santo was managing Wolves, and now he's at West Ham. He is that manager that seems to have a thing against playing for United. West Ham lost against Liverpool. Lucas Paqueta had a crazy moment, and he just talked himself into a red card, and they lost to Liverpool at the weekend. You see them play against United, they will be back to the tough to beat. We are not backing down. They will be hard to beat. They will be that West Ham that nobody likes playing against, especially under Nuno.
Yeah, I agree, Tabo. The West Ham are not only just without Paqueta, they're also without Somerville as well, who's now, I believe, injured until the new year, potentially.
Who
So
scored
they
against us, West
will,
Ham?
correct, he did. So expect to see a really classic Nuno formation. It'll be deep defensive lineup. They'll be trying to make themselves as hard as possible to beat. The good news is that we will have Mateus Cunha back. I will like to think that he will start again. I mean, it's a bit harsh on Mason Mount and Xerxes because they've just scored another two games back to back, rather, which I think will make a big, which you would say maybe they deserve to keep their place, but
Who
for
do
a
you think he
team,
replaces?
that's a good point.
Oh,
I think he'll replace Xerxes. Mount provides a lot of energy in midfield, and Cunha provides that little bit of guile. And and Burma plays better when Cunha's on the pitch, so I feel like that will be the front three. But yeah, I think that's how I'd probably like to see us line up. But
To say, I
yeah,
agree. I think that Xerxes played well in the last game, but at the same time, it would be a lot to ask of him to not start a game for a year and then to start three in the case of 10 days. I think that we've got two games coming up, so we'll see a fair bit of rotation. I think that Matash Cunha should come back in again, considering the fact that his injury wasn't a bad one. It was one that seems to be precautionary in terms of keeping him out of the lineup. And I think they'd be harsh to drop Mason Mount after the last game for sure.
also to that point, if Cunha's coming back from an injury, we don't know what the injury was. We don't know how fit he is. Maybe he could be one of those that starts the second half. Like you start with the same 11 that started against Palace, and then you have Cunha maybe start the second half because you don't know how totally exactly fit he's going to be.
Tabo, I think from what I reading between the lines, I feel like the injury that Cunha had was just very much a concussion related injury,
Mhm.
so a head injury, so which would entail that he takes a week of rest and to recover, and that's why he's back. So I think I reckon I reckon he starts. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't.
So
Okay.
was it not? Was he meant to go to some sort of like Christmas thing, and the town that he was meant to be going to like basically said he couldn't go due to a knock in the head in training,
He
I
was
believe it
supposed to be
was.
lighting some Christmas lights at a town
Yeah,
somewhere.
So yeah, I think that was I think it just everything points towards a concussion or concussion protocol maybe, which is why it was which is 7 days and kind of why he's out. Um, I wouldn't actually be too surprised if I actually saw Mainu starting ahead of Mason Mount in the 10. To be honest, part of me reckons that that might actually work. Mason Mount played 90 minutes on the weekend. It's the first time he's played 90 minutes as a Manchester United player, which is insane considering he's been here, what, 3 years?
2.5
In
years.
his
Yeah.
third year. In his third year. So that could be a potential that he might just go drop to the bench and you'll see Mainu getting a run in the team in that 10 position because I don't think that's. I think he's perfectly capable of playing in that role.
Thing is with Menu, so I think that if he's going to play, I think it would likely be in the 8 position, mainly because I don't think he's fully comfortable in the wing positions. He's shown good aspects and good qualities that could say that he would be in terms of playing in those wide half spaces. I think that the quality that Mason Mount has at times with his switch of play, just opening up the pitch in general, I think that's why he tends to play in the 10. I think that we could see Menu. I think it'll probably be likely he'll sit in the 8 with Bruno stepping forwards into the 10, which again is one of his better positions, so it wouldn't be too much of a worry.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that I mean I'd love to see Bruno in the 10. I think that's his best position. He provides so much of energy. You would also get Mainu playing with Casemiro in the 8, which I would like to see more of because I think that those two players, I think Mainu will benefit a lot from playing next to someone like Casemiro.
Yeah, just that experience to carry him through the match and just allow Manu to do his sort of thing. When he's playing, I think in his last few games he's done has been next to Ugarte, and Ugarte needs somebody to hold his hand as well because he is, as I said earlier, he's more of a bulldog. He's someone that wants to just run around endlessly. And when you've got that next to an inexperienced kid that is still learning that position and still learning those angles in defensive shape, it's not a great combination to have if you've got two players that don't completely complement each other well, which we don't really have at United. We had a fair few links over the summer, and we have seen we've had Elliot Anderson have his audition, shall we say, playing against United this season where he looked class. We've seen Baleba didn't look good at all. We've seen Adam Wharton look good, and then that we also had links to João Gomez, who we'll be facing up against next against Wolves. Jared, what do you think we should be looking at for our summer in terms of midfield positions, or even in the winter? Because it is clearly a position that we are looking to strengthen and need to strengthen. We talked about the fact that we could bring in a main in that position, or just trying different things out. But there are options out there. Who's your preferred option out of those ones?
Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton have been at the top of my wish list for the best part of the last 18 months. I rate both players incredibly highly. I think Anderson's probably more suited to what we need right now. I really like Wharton though. He reminds me of Michael Carrick a lot in the way he plays. He's just so good on the ball, and he is the sheepdog that you were taught that you to borrow your analogy from earlier. He just watches the game so well. Anderson's a lot more defensive, which is again something that I think we need. I think Anderson's probably more a Casemiro kind of replacement, which is something that we also need. João Gomez could actually be a really good potential value. I mean, Wolves have got 2 points this season. It's the writing's very much on the wall, unfortunately for Wolves fans. So I feel like there could be an avenue where we could get João Gomez for relatively cheap, even maybe as early as January, if not before next season starts. I'd be surprised if we really do much business in January. I think we need to, but I just think that we've extended ourselves far enough. I don't think that we're going to kind of go much further than that.
So if you were to, like you said, you compared them to Wharton to Carrick. I think if we look at a more modern comparisons, I'd say we have Elliot Anderson as like a Declan Rice and Wharton's like your Rodri. So I guess it depends really on who we think would partner better with the likes of Bruno Fernandes. I mean, if we were to go off of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted, he wanted Declan Rice with Bruno Fernandes. So I guess the Elliot Anderson would be the smart option out of those ones.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I don't think if the options are those two, I don't think there's a wrong one, right? Like I think they're both excellent players that
Yeah.
are obviously perfectly suited for the Premier League and have incredibly high ceilings. I'd say Adam Bottom's got a probably higher ceiling than Elliot Anderson does, but I also think that that's primarily because I feel Anderson's a little bit more front-footed. Elliot Anderson plays a little bit more on the back foot.
I think the problem with any of the midfield options, and I said it at the time in the British summer when we were linked so heavily with Baleba, and I wanted United to just go all in for Baleba, like identify a target, go all in for him. Is when you come to next season, you are going to have City looking for a midfield option, City looking for a Rodri replacement because Rodri is coming off his injury and it's already looking clear that he's not going to be the same player that he was after his injury. You are going to have Liverpool wanting to move on from Gravenberg after trying to make him into a six, which he's not. So both teams are going to be looking for high-end midfield options, and for us to think that we're going to have a clear run at Elliot Anderson or Adam Wharton, I think it's a pipe dream. You're already getting links. You're already getting rumors that Elliot Anderson has told his people to give priority to City. So with that, you could say that he's gone. He's off the table for us. You know, so if you look at midfield option, you want to think United's recruitment team have been more hit than miss the last few times, the last few windows. So if they're looking at Joao Gomez, the guy that plays for Wolves, they have looked at his numbers. They have looked at the matrix. They have seen what it is that he can bring, and if they're looking at him, I think I trust them enough, Christopher Vivell and everybody that he works with. I trust them enough to think that if they are looking at him, they have identified what they think, and they think is a value option in that position.
Like you mentioned there with our recruitment structure, that is definitely something that has been a big focus at the club in the recent history, at least. We've had countless managers come in and just sign the players that they wanted. This actually seems to have some sort of structure to it. So you'd hope that they'd at least have a short list of players that are alternatives, whether that be younger options or more budget options. I'm somebody that has been a big advocate for Ruben Neves, another previous Wolves player who his contract runs out in Saudi at the end of the summer. So I think he is somebody that I would potentially look at as well. But as mentioned before, whoever we end up with, whether that's Wharton or if it's Anderson, neither of them are a bad option. And there are others out there. It's just we do tend to be looking at the more Premier League proven players, as it were, at the moment, especially with we've seen other players come in from the league and just shows the difference in quality and difference in intensity. And they
Yeah,
get found out quite quickly.
there was also Joao Palhinha before he moved to Bayern. A
Yeah.
lot of I liked him. A lot of people liked him, but his age was against it, and he went to Bayern. And he's back at Spurs. He's actually not bad at Spurs. So there are other options besides the main two that people are always talking about and they're always looking at. It's just that when a player makes the headlines in England, he seems to be the be all and end all, and we don't look beyond the two players. But yeah, there are options out there.
We tend to have, especially in this country, especially in journalism, is we see various players as having this savior thing, and same as like a savior complex, where
Yeah.
as soon as we see them and picture them that possibly being the future or fixing some sort of problem, that's it. That's our mind made up, and that is the solution. We saw it a lot
True.
at United with Tony van der Beek. Everyone's going, "Oh, he is the missing link. Why isn't he playing over Bruno Fernandes, for example?"
Yes.
And once that is ingrained in your head, it just won't leave. And then until eventually somebody comes in that's different. And it seems to be that Wharton and Anderson are those two players right now that are just being pushed and ingrained in the back of your brain that every single time something's linked, you go, but how do they compare to Wharton and Anderson?
Yes. It's almost like it has to be them or nothing. So
Yeah.
that strategy worked for Liverpool when they were going for Virgil van Dijk. When they couldn't get him on window, they waited for him, and he's worked out brilliantly for them. But that doesn't mean that that's the only, he's the only game in town. You can pivot, you can move to option two, option three, and sometimes option two, option three are better than what option one would have given you. That's why we have recruitment teams. That's why these guys scout the world all over to get you the best players.
I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty confident that Ineos will make the right decision. To be fair, at the end of the day, I think that whichever direction that they go, they've, like Thabo said, they've got more right than wrong, uh, and yeah, I think given it a bit of time, I think we'll probably find someone who is pretty much suited to what we're after at this point in time.
Let's now try and hyper focus more into what topics are going to be in terms of what to expect from these upcoming games. We've spoken a little bit in the past about the fact that we don't like playing against Wolves or West Ham. One thing that is a positive, for example, though, is against Wolves, we won't be conceding the same goals, you'd like to think at least, with a big player in those last two being Matthäus Cunha, getting that Olympico goal in the last matchup and then assisting the winner. We can't be the team that gives Wolves points, right? I mean, we did it against Sheffield United as well a few years back when we were pushing for the title. They were on course to be the worst team ever, and then we dropped points against them. We can't do it again, can we, Jarryd?
I feel like that meme of Mick McCarthy, I think it was Wolves manager at the time. Oh, it can.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, that one.
I don't know. I think I don't know what to expect from this team. I think that's I said it last in the pod last week. It's like when the chips are down, these players seem to rise up to the challenge and do really well. But when you get teams that they should absolutely beat, Everton at home, they end up losing. Now, like you said, Wolves have got 2 points all season. I'd be incredible. I'd be infuriated if we do well against West Ham and then end up dropping points to Wolves, even though it is away. If we drop points at Wolves, it would be so frustrating. But is it beyond the realms of possibility? Unfortunately, at this point in time with this team, it just isn't.
It just isn't. I'll agree with you, Jared. And I also say the problem with Wolves, facing Wolves at the time we're facing them, is Rob Edwards, or handsome Rob Edwards, as you seem to be contractually obliged to call him.
Yeah.
He has been there for a few weeks now. He's getting to grips with the players in the club, and by the time we roll to Molineux, he will have the team in the sort of shape that he wants it. They are going to put in a performance against us. Let us not be under any illusions. So they are going to make it difficult. Like I always say, they are the two. West Ham and Wolves are the two teams that make it difficult whenever United come into town. We cannot go to Molineux and expect that we're going to spank them 3-0 and just come back with 3 points. It will not be that easy. It is going to be very frustrating. I'm also going to be upset if if we drop any points to them, if we draw or we lose to them. But you cannot go in there expecting that it's going to happen.
As I say, the worry for me as well is West Ham will play a very similar style to what Everton did. They're cut from very similar cloths. I mean, there's a reason why David Moyes has managed both. They're teams that haven't. I mean, people had to refer to as West Ham style of play just because they had some players that played in the World Cup 60 years ago. But West Ham haven't got this defined style of play. They will play how they need to in the moment. So they're happy to sit back and have 30% possession if it means they can get results. So we need to basically look at what we did wrong against Everton and try and fix that for this one. It's a game that we should be expected to have most of the ball of. And as Jarryd mentioned, those games that we should be winning and expected to win is usually when we do tend to struggle that little bit more. We just have to try and find that little bit of ingenuity and creativity just to add just that little bit of spark to the team. Something that we haven't really done consistently for a while, but we have got a nice, healthy fixture list coming up, especially with teams around us dropping points. Brighton and Villa play each other this weekend as well. It's an opportunity for us to go into this festive period, which is always the busiest period, with some points on the board and actually looking to those European positions. Is something that we haven't done in a while, annoyingly. This time last year, we were, of course, newly looking at a manager. And hopefully, a year into this project, we might finally be seeing the green shoots coming out of it.
I feel like looking up at the table is not something I'm personally too concerned about or too worried about. I just kind of want us to be looking at the game that we've got coming up, right? Like, I don't want to, like, for me, I just feel like the whole conversation around, okay, if we win these guys, if we beat these guys, we go up to so and so and et cetera, et cetera. It builds up in sort of an expectation when we're just not a club that is ready to be doing that. It would be great to be in the European places. I mean, what I really want more than anything else at this point in time is good performances and consistent and relatively consistent results. You get once you've got those, that's when I start looking up the table and going, okay, well, when can we get that? And also at the same time, the table more so than ever this year is so congested. We're 2 points off. Well, we know, sorry, we're 4 points off second place at the moment. Like everything will change with a couple of results. So it's still too early for me to be looking at the table in that regard. Uh, but going back to your point of, and I think we touched about this, we touched on this earlier. We will see a very, very defensive West Ham team. We know what to expect from a Nuno team, and that's almost exactly what we're going to get in a couple of days. The benefit of having someone like Cunha now fit is that he's a little bit more of that maverick who can pick up the ball and just drive at the opposition. And we saw that more than anyone when he was playing for Wolves last year, that he just had this doggedness to him that he would just go, cool, I've got the ball. I'm just going to run at someone now, and I'm going to take this ball and move it up the pitch 20 yards, maybe get a free kick, and then do it again before I can get a nice shot at goal and probably score. That's kind of what I feel like this game, and I feel like that Everton game would be two games that we need that moment of magic from someone, and I feel like Cunha is almost perfectly suited to do that. And Burma can as well. Ahmad can. There's lots of players in the team that can, but I feel like Cunha in particular is someone that I would almost expect. He's the guy that I would be giving the ball to as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, to not steal more football cliches, the fact these two games are prime examples of the first goal is so important. It's one of those things that if either of those two oppositions get the first goal, it's going to be a torturous match. If we get it first and it forces them to come out and play, should be fairly comfortable. I mean, we say that we've not really had a comfortable game in a few years at this point. And as you were saying before about consistency and things like that, that's another point to discuss is the sustainability and consistency that we're seeing, especially from this system. We're going to have conversations constantly about managers and systems and everything. We have seen improvements this season, but one thing that we are doing is conceding far too many goals still. I think, are on course to have our worst ever defensive season, conceding 20 already in 13 games, 1.5 per match. That surely has to be fixed. And these two teams are teams that aren't free scoring. Wolves have only scored 7 in the 13 games so far this season. Surely we have to be not just focusing on results, but getting just a little run of clean sheets going.
It's weird. It's weird that the stat you mentioned having conceded 20 in 13 games, because if you look at individually, if you look at the defense from last season and compare them with this season for some reason they look better. I don't know how to explain it. The back three of Shaw, Delict, and Yoro, they look better, but the numbers are the same. The numbers are just as bad. So it's very hard to explain. It's very hard to define why it is that we are. Only thing that is consistent about United is we are inconsistent, especially at the back. It's a very hard. I think it's probably a head scratcher for Amorim, because, like I'm saying, De Ligt individually is having one of his best seasons on his own. Like the last game when we played Crystal Palace, I think Luke Shaw had one of his best games I've ever seen him play. But as a system, as a defensive unit, there's just something there that the problems still exist. The problems have not been eradicated. Is it how Amorim has been playing, or is it just on the individual players? I don't know. It's very hard to point a finger at something and say this is the reason why we are struggling in this department.
Yeah, like you were saying there, we've had a lot of individuals that have actually shown up this season, it feels like. And it does feel like they're more confident and comfortable. I mean, to be fair, we can sort of divide this season in two when it comes to the defensive record. We're going to have pre-Le Mans and Le Mans. And it feels like it's very different. I think we conceded, I think it's like 11-6 with Le Mans, and then like 9-7 since then. So it is a different team, especially recently. We seem to have found our feet a little bit more. We aren't giving up as many opportunities, but we do give up really good opportunities when we do. It's just, as we discussed previously, it's just that structure in that midfield
Yes,
just isn't quite fully there.
so that's my answer right there. I was saying I don't know why it is that they look better, but the numbers are still the same. The difference there has been the goalkeeper, where if you break it like you were saying into pre San Lemans and after he comes in, they are better. And if maybe we take the season from where it is, from where he started, and extrapolate it to the end of the season, the numbers don't look as bad as they do when you take the whole of the season in its entirety.
I'm going to say, yeah, so it's like 1.3 per game with Le Mans and almost 2 per game with Bayern Deer. So,
Exactly.
I mean, there is clear progress there, and put good players in good positions and you're going to get better results.
Just the eye test, these players are better. They have made strides. They have improved. The eye test will tell you that our defense looks better with this guy in place because they trust the guy behind them. They're no longer looking behind them in fear. What is this guy going to do? So I think that if you take the season from when he started and we just take it to the end, we are going to be better. Our defense is going to be better. The only thing is, it would be great if we could have both games or one of these games have a clean sheet, have a comfortable win, have an easy, comfortable win in one of these two games, and just go into the rest of the season with more confidence.
So just a nice, healthy 2-0, 3-0. Go back to the old adage that Sir Alex used to say, attack wins your games, defense wins your titles. And right now, our defensive system and record isn't enough to even get Europe.
Yeah, Jarryd was talking about Matthias Cunha earlier. I loved he did this. I think it was against Sunderland, where he was just winding the clock down. He just took the ball and said, "Okay, you guys come get it from me." He knows how to close down a game. We have not had that in a very long time. We even leading 2-0, we still are open, and the opposition feels like they can get something out of the game. With somebody like him, he knows how to close down a game and say, "Okay, we are done. We're not going to take any more risks, and we're not going to lose this game." So it would be nice to have him play one of those games again.
It was exactly like that Liverpool game was exactly what I was so excited about seeing from him. We saw that again when going back to the game against Wolves last season and the year before as well, from memory. He just took the game on. He was like, "Cool, I'm not going to let my team lose," and it's really, really rare find to get players who are that confident and that but at the same time are still so intelligent with the ball at the same time.
So I think intelligence there is the key word. Is his game intelligence is just so high. He knows the exact moment of when to push, when to just allow that contact, just to slow the game down a little bit. He just knows the pacing of the match and how it should be. He's someone that can dictate the tempo, and that is something that we have missed without him. And when Mbeumo's contribution has dried up a little bit without him, I think that is something that could be key. When he does return, we should be seeing firing Mbeumo again.
Yes, and as great as Bruno is, that emotional intelligence, that game management is something he's lacking. So having Cunha back, he can only benefit because he's the guy now who will give you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up, let's have some early predictions. Jarryd, how are you seeing both of these matches going?
I try not to get too stuck into the predictions anymore. I think the last time I was saying it, I was like, oh, we should beat them 3-0, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, look, I mean, gosh, I think I echo what the both of you are saying, that I would love to see, a classic routine win or two. I'm hoping and optimistic that we do beat both teams. I will expect to see a clean sheet, especially against Wolves, even though it is away. But that's about as far as I'm willing to go at this point.
So how about you then, Thabo, Mr. King Predictor? After that Palace game, how do you see these two playing out?
I think we win. I think we win both games. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me the score. I think we win both games. I think it's going to be tougher against West Ham than it will be against Wolves. I think Wolves they're down. They know it already. So I think they're not going to give us such a hard time. But I expect West Ham to give us the usual hard time that we get out of them, but we'll beat them in the end. It probably by the odd goal, probably a 3-2 or a 2-1, but something close.
3-2 is not routine. 3-2 is not routine.
Not at all.
I want routine.
West Ham will not be routine. West Ham will be hardest, but we'll.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We'll win. And also, we need to get that guy a haircut, man. Jeez.
I was gonna say he's gagging for a haircut right now, and this is the run to do it in.
Well, I think after that we've got Bournemouth, don't we?
Bournemouth and Villa.
Yeah. Bournemouth having a shot.
Bournemouth are actually struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling. So, yeah, I was going to say.
We can expect to beat them. Villa, you can never tell.
Yeah, Bournemouth down in 14th right now.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just get through the next few days, and we can come back and we'll come back in maybe a week, and we can talk about the next games.
Okay, I'll call it now.
2 routine wins.
West Ham Wolves, we are winning both games. Let me call it now.
Well, there's the clip for the preview.
Godspeed.
All right, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you very much, Jarryd. Thank you very much, Thabo, for joining me. We had some slight technical hitches, as we always do, but we got through it. Let's hopefully be rejoining you guys after 2 routine wins next week. Cheerio. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you. Enjoy the games.